Yeah, so nice to have you here. Good
Thank you.
afternoon. And we had a brief discussion before this. So I was amazed when I said, oh, please, I want to host you on Climbr to get to talk about a couple of things. And prior to that, I did not know that you attended CCI till I started seeing your posts. And I was like, oh, let me even check a lot about what you're doing. And I saw that you were doing amazing stuff. Then head of communications for Eko Atlantic. I had to go check Eko Atlantic and everything. And all right, they are doing amazing work. Recently, they partnered with
Yeah.
Landway. Um,
Well, it's not a partnership.
uh-huh.
They are clients. They bought land from us.
Oh, I know Lawale Ailara. I had an appointment with him last year. He invited me down to Lagos. So just wanted to know what I was doing. And then we talked a little about some things. So when I saw that on Olawale's page, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so the reason why we are having this and why people are joining is because of the fact that many people are going into the media industry. There are many industries that are actually thriving in the world today, world of work. But the thing is, when people hear media, or when I hear media, what comes to my mind is news at first. But I believe that media is actually more than news. So I went to do my research on media and I discovered that, oh, media involves advertising, involves communications and everything like that. And based on the workforce talent, like everybody wants to like begin to level up in different skill sets and everything. It would be nice to have somebody that's already thriving in the media industry get to share how to build a global career in the media industry. And I feel like, oh, I know that you have like a lot of interesting things to share with us. And without wasting so much time, anybody listening to this, this is David Adeleke, is the head of communications at Eko Atlantic. And there is also a startup you run, or there is a product, CM.
It's a product. It's not a startup.
Okay, it's a product.
It's not a startup.
CMQ Media, right?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah. And I read your article. Yeah. I read your article. I think a lot of people
One on
loved it.
Paystack.
Yes, and it was really, really insightful. So
Thank you.
I'll leave you to do the presentation. I feel a lot of us will just
Okay.
sit back, relax, and learn from what you have to say about the media industry, the opportunities there, how to go about them, the skills we can learn along the line, and how to really, really network, how to network ourselves to ensure that we also get positions in the media industry, maybe different niches. Yeah, so I would mute my mic now and get to listen to you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Joel. Hello, everyone. Hi, Eunice. Okay. And Wisdom was on this call just now and then he disappeared. Wisdom reached out some days ago, and I think he reached out at the right time. So basically, I have a very short presentation to make about my career and a few things that I've learned along the way and a few things that I think are important for anyone who wants to build a career in the industry. But I'm going to start by saying that I'm not the type of person who is going to tell you that because I did this, then you too can do it. That's not how I work. That's not how I think. I think that a lot of where I am or where people are is dependent on unique circumstances that are unique to them, and it's in many ways heavily dependent on, you can call it luck, you can call it grace, you can call it good fortune, whatever you want to call it. But what I can do is share frameworks that have helped me in my career, and I hope that some of those frameworks and some of the things that guided my decision making or that still guide my decision making can help you too. So I'm going to share my screen now, and yeah. And by the way, if you can't hear me, if you're having difficulty hearing me, please just let me know that you're having difficulty hearing me, because the network in the office can be a bit unstable sometimes. So I'm making a very, very short presentation on how to build a career in the media industry. And Joel and I were talking earlier about how the media itself, the concept of media is diverse. It used to mean broadcast, it used to mean print, it used to mean radio and all those things. But the concept of media has expanded, and the ecosystem that feeds it has expanded, and it has largely been disrupted by the internet. So my name, as you know, is David, and this is just a brief, it's just a short summary of my resume. I'm a writer, I'm a comm strategist, I'm a media analyst. I used to be a journalist. In some way, I still am. In my current roles, I am head of communications at Eko Atlantic City. I write a monthly media analysis newsletter called Communique, where I analyze the media ecosystem in Africa. I'm a contributing editor at African Tech Roundup. That's a more recent position. And I'm a columnist with How We Made It in Africa. How We Made It in Africa is a Pan-African business publication. Previously, I was editor of Business Insider Africa. At that time, it was Sub-Saharan Africa. Now it's Business Insider Africa. An editor at Ventures Africa. I used to write for Tech Points Africa. I used to work at Tech Cabal, and then I used to do content marketing for a few startups and small businesses. What am I going to talk about to you today? First, I'm going to talk about how I built my career. So I'm going to share my career journey with you. I'm going to share specific highlights, things that have kind of influenced where I am today, some things that have contributed to where I am today, and some of the lessons that I've learned from that. I'm going to share with you insights about the industry from my journey. So again, all of these insights are from my point of view. There will definitely be more than what I'm sharing with you, but this is just from my point of view. And then I'll talk to you a little about the future of media and how to position yourself. This is my career timeline. In 2015, I applied for an editorial role in Tech Cabal. So that's how I got into media, essentially. I was already doing content marketing for some startups before then, but after my youth service, I decided, maybe I should try my hands at journalism or media work. So I applied for an editorial role at Tech Cabal. I was earning 40K per month, writing 3 articles a day, 5 days a week, 20 days a month. So if you do the math, that's about 60 articles every month for 40,000 naira. It's a very ridiculous sum of money. But while I was at Tech Cabal, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how to think, about how to process ideas. I worked with an editor-in-chief who I think is one of the smartest, anyone who has ever worked with him, Bankole Oluwafemi, he's one of the smartest people in the ecosystem and anywhere that you can find anywhere. So he helped me to refine how I think about things, how I process information, how I process ideas, how I criticize or how I critique ideas, because I think it's very important to not just be able to have ideas, but to be able to critique your own ideas by yourself and know when an idea is just you wanting to play around or when it's actually serious and it's something worth pursuing. But by 2016, early 2016 in February, I quit Tech Cabal and then I went freelance. So I started writing for a platform called Scrive. Scrive is no longer operational, but at the time, Scrive wanted to build something like an Upwork for Africa. I was earning 10K per article. And then I eventually secured a part-time role with Tech Points, where I was writing 4 feature articles per week for 40,000 naira a month. So yeah, it wasn't a lot, but I had to start somewhere. So that's how I started. That's how my career started. Then in September 2016, I joined Ventures Africa. And that's where my career really took off because I got a lot of opportunities that opened me up to new experiences in Ventures Africa. One of those is a workshop that I applied to. I applied to a workshop at Yale University. I got into it. I went in 2017, and then in early 2017, my editor-in-chief basically helped me get into a media and journalism fellowship with the Charles Cook Institute. So the institute is based in Virginia. So I was spending most of my time here in Lagos, but every now and then I would have to go for trainings in the US. Then in 2018, after I finished my fellowship, I had already left Ventures Africa by then. I joined Business Insider Sub-Saharan Africa as editor. Then I did that for about a year and 4 months. After that, I moved so that I can do more with my time and my career. Right. There's a thing about journalism that doesn't really let you do a lot of other things. But if I'm in comms, then I can branch out use my talents and my skills in so many different ways. So that's just one of the reasons why I had to leave journalism. And another reason why I had to leave journalism was because I felt like a lot of what business, especially business and tech journalism, is becoming or has become is very similar to content marketing. And I try to estimate, I try to have a 10-year view of things. Is this something that I want to be doing in 5 or 10 years from now? What is the upside if I stay in this industry for 10 more years? Is it going to benefit me more in the long run? And all those answers resulted in a no for me. So I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to leave journalism and go into communications, because I know that if I'm doing communications, I'll still be able to do some form of journalism. So I left I left journalism and moved into communications, where I am now. I head Eko Atlantic's communications team. And in 2020, this was during lockdown, I launched CMQ or Communique. I call it CMQ. Some people call it Communique. It's actually Communique. If you call it Communique, please stop. It's Communique. And Communique is basically a media analysis newsletter. I saw a gap in the market for sound analysis of the media ecosystem, of the business, of strategy, of digital economy, of the intersection of media and technology. No one was really doing that in Nigeria. And as I found, no one is really doing that in Africa the way I wanted to. So I decided to fill in that gap. And so I launched Communique. And in the same year, I started writing for How We Made It in Africa. I became a columnist with them. I still am. Every now and then I interview interesting business people for How We Made It in Africa. Then later this year, this was, I think, 2 months ago. It was last month, actually. I joined Africa Tech Roundup as a contributing editor. So you can see why I decided to leave journalism to comms. I'm still head of communications at Eko Atlantic, but I can still do all these many things just because I decided to make the switch. So again, your circumstance will be different from mine. I don't know what your situation is, but as much as you want flexibility, if flexibility is really what you want, if you want to be able to do many things at once, then you have to optimize for it with the kinds of choices that you make, the kind of skills that you acquire. So I'm going to talk more about that, but this is just a brief overview of my career over the last 6 years now, although it's been much longer than this, but this is just an overview of my career over the last 6 years. So what are some of the things that I've learned about the industry along the way? The first thing is, and I talk about this, if you've ever seen any of my other interviews, I've talked about this before. At the foundation of this industry is writing, speaking, and thinking. So writing, because if you're in media, a lot of what you will do will involve writing, especially if you're in communications, if you're a PR person, if you're a journalist, you have to be able to write to an extent. And the good thing about this Nigerian market is writing seems like a basic skill. It seems like a basic skill, but the truth is not many people can do it. Is that a question? Sorry. Oh, okay.
No, I just noted that.
The notification will distract me. So.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So writing, because not a lot of people can do it very well in this market, and that's just the truth. I worked at a startup after NYSC where I was doing a lot of writing, and the founder used to say things like, "It's not just writing," and I'm sure you've heard it a lot. And would tell you that it's not just writing. So at the foundation of media work, of communications, of PR, is the ability to write and write very well. The ability to take things that are complex, things that are abstract, and just simplify them. Read what you've written and have an idea of what you're talking about. Your writing is not just esoteric to them. So that's one of the most precious skills, and the most basic. It's basic, but it's invaluable, because if you can do it very well, people are going to look for you, because not a lot of people can do it. So writing. The second is speaking. You have to be able to talk in front of people. You have to be able to talk in front of a camera, especially now, with the kind of age that we are in. People are very, very easily swayed. People are easily swayed by the things they see. So if you can't talk in front of a camera, if you can't hold a camera to yourself and talk fluently, talk very well, you're already at a disadvantage. And then thinking, how smart are you? You have to be really smart. I'm sure you know a lot of smart people and how much others are drawn to them. People are drawn to anyone who is able to think clearly and then articulate what they are thinking. And writing helps with that. If you're a good writer, right, it makes it easier for you to be a good thinker, because if you have an idea, then you can put it down on paper and then you start to interrogate your idea that you've written down. So writing, speaking, and thinking are the foundation. The second thing that I've learned so far is the higher you get up the ladder, the more choices you have. So now I'm in a position where I can do a lot of the things that I've always wanted to do. 5 years ago, I couldn't do a lot of the things that I always wanted to do. 5 years ago, I did what I had to do to get to where I am now. So in the beginning, you will need to pick up some of the most functional skills. Like I said, writing, you have to be able to write very well. You have to be able to talk, put yourself in front of a camera and talk. It's something that people do a lot with their phones. It's a valuable skill to have. And then you have to be able to think fast on your feet. You have to be sharp. So those are the foundational skills that you have. It could be social media management. Someone asked me this question on Instagram: how do you build a content career? So start from the basic things. It could be social media management. It could be writing for free for certain publications. You don't really have a lot of choice if you're just starting out, except you're from a rich family, you're from a powerful family. If you are not, if you are like the rest of us, then you have to hustle from at the beginning. So you do the things that you have to do, right? You do a lot of the grunt work. If you need to do research, you do the research. What? Yeah. I have one. I'm making a presentation now. Yes, please. Yeah, sorry. So where was I? Yeah. So as the higher you go up the ladder, the more choices you have. In the beginning, you don't have a lot of choice of what to do. You might have to. Let me use an example. While I was at TechAbout, I was writing 3 articles a day, and I was earning 40K a month. That's not a lot. In fact, it's a terrible amount of money to be paying anybody. Even though the economy was much better then, it's still a terrible amount of money to pay anybody. But nowadays you have people who, they don't want to do that kind of thing. Everybody wants to earn a lot. Yeah, that's nice, but why should anybody pay you a lot, especially given the economy that you are in? A lot of people are looking for jobs, and so you take what you can get. It's the sad reality. In the beginning, you have to take what you can get, but the higher you climb, then you can have more choices. You can start to choose what to reject, what to accept, and all of that. So that's something that I had to learn the hard way, and I think that it's very important for anybody who wants to just start. So you do what you can, as long as you're building skills, as long as you're building your portfolio, as long as you know that you're doing it for somebody who is valuable. Now, I did all those things because it was tech about. I knew, and I still know the importance of the brand name to the tech ecosystem, and it helped me a lot too. But if it were just some random person giving me that opportunity, God forbid, I would not have taken it. So also, I knew the value of that brand to me. So I took the chances. I took the opportunities that came my way, and as my career has progressed, I've been able to make better choices. The third thing about the industry, the third thing about the industry is that it's always good to bet on the internet and digital strategy. Now, this point is perhaps the most important. People think about the media, and a lot of people still think about it in terms of the old way of doing things. So people think about print. People are still very wowed by print. People are still wowed by being on television. But if you really think about it, and if you're very attentive to what's happening in the news, you find out that a lot of the things that happen offline are heavily dependent on what happens online or how they are interpreted online. I don't know if that's something that you've paid attention to, but if you're observant, you'll see what I'm saying. The internet is becoming more and more influential to how we live. People used to say offline, and people used to refer to offline as real life, and then the internet as and just online. more of nowadays, what happens real life, that is offline, is basically a reflection of something that has happened online. Take the a lot of the NSAS protests, for example, last year. Mobilization started online, and because it started online, then people now took action um, offline. So the internet is becoming more ingrained into society. It's becoming more influential, and it's impacting more and more how people think, how people behave. So I would advise you that you bet on the internet and digital strategy. And what does that look like? This will require you understanding how the internet works. And I'm not talking about the technicalities. I'm talking about how do people behave online? How do people think about the things that they interact with online? So you have to invest in understanding user behavior. This is a term that US you have to invest in understanding user behavior. You do your own user research. It could be through observation, it could be through conversation, it could be reading reports. So anytime you see a free report on maybe this is how people behave online, this is what people buy online, you pay attention to it, because those are the things that define how we are living now, and they're going to define how we will live in the future even more. So you have to really, really understand what is at stake when we talk about the internet, because it's very important. It's already defining and changing how we live now, and it's going to do it even more in the future. The last point I will make is there is a lot of money in corporate storytelling. Now, I didn't only leave journalism I, you know, um, because I thought I'll be able to do a lot of things in comms. I also left journalism because money in media is very, I don't know, it's very small. If you really think about it, let's use BuzzFeed as an example now. BuzzFeed is a very popular website, and they raised a lot of venture money in the early days. And what venture capitalists have seen is that they may not be able to get the returns on investment from BuzzFeed that they would get from the other tech companies, right? Because the market for media is very limited. But if you switch now to the other side now, and this is if you're concerned about the economic aspects of the media business. If you switch now to the other side, you look at corporate storytelling, you look at maybe PR, you look at comms. That's where most of the money flows from, because even the media publications, the media outlets are financed from companies' marketing budgets. That's one aspect. Then the other part is companies too are now looking to invest in corporate storytelling mechanisms. You see companies that are building out their own media operations, companies investing a lot in content marketing. They are spending a lot of money because they know that if we spend, for example, if a company spends $1 million in corporate storytelling, the upside is infinite, right? So yes, there are opportunities in the media, but the media itself is largely financed by money from corporates. So that's another interesting insight about the industry. If you're really, really concerned about making a lot of money, then you should study more or look into corporate storytelling and the mechanisms around it. So how do you position yourself for the future? First, you have to understand how technology impacts the industry, right? If you want to go into media, you can't be going into media with the mindset of 5 years ago or of 10 years ago. Some people want to go into media because it looks glamorous, because there's fame in it. Yes, there is, but how does that fame translate into benefits for you? A lot of people are famous and they don't really have anything. And the ways in which people become famous, all of those things are very, very, they are heavily reliant on the impacts of technology. So you have to know how technology impacts your industry. And this could be in many different ways. This could be in many different ways. There is another notification. Yeah, you'll be able to ask questions after. I'm almost done. You'll be able to ask questions after. So you have to understand how technology impacts your industry. This is the final slide. The second is to invest in fluidity. So what do I mean by this? If you're starting out, there is a temptation to kind of want to pigeonhole yourself, especially if you come into the industry, or you come into in the industry with the mindset that this is where the money is. Now, I know that I've said that corporate storytelling, there is a lot of money in corporate storytelling. So maybe you now say, okay, I want to get into corporate storytelling, and then maybe I want to become a social media this, or a digital strategist. And so you start to pigeonhole yourself. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. That is nice. But the truth of the matter is, companies usually invest more in people, or let me not say companies, generally, people who have resources, they invest in other people who can do many things.
I think I can't hear David anymore. If anyone can still hear him, please let me know. You can just drop.
It's nice, to be able to write great stories. It's very nice to be able to write great stories. But who is going to pay how are you going to pay the salaries of of your staff? How are you going to pay the salaries of the reporters? Can anyone hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you
Okay.
now. Before we
Okay,
couldn't.
someone is saying they can't hear me.
We can hear you now.
Okay. So how are you going to pay the salaries of the reporters? So now, as an editor, I'm not just editing people's stories. I have to think like a salesperson. And thinking like a salesperson requires me to actually acquire sales skills. So I have to know how salespeople think. How do salespeople think? How do you pitch? How do you make money with content? Do you understand? So it's no longer just writing. It's no longer just editing. It's no longer just managing a team. Now I have to learn how to manage a business. I have to learn how to make money from content. So that's just one example, right? So in this current with the way things are going now, you have to be able to change. You have to be dynamic. Let me give you another example. When I joined Eko Atlantic, I joined to do communications, and there is this idea that PR people usually have, that the aim of PR is not to sell. Yeah, that's nice. But then the pandemic hits.
Yeah, I think the internet is bad from his end. So let's just give him some seconds. If you can hear me, you can just wave. I think there is a feature for waving. All right, yeah. Wisdom Adebayo can hear me.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Now we can. We can now.
Okay. Okay, all right, let me just round up quickly. So, what was I saying? So now the pandemic hits, and it's no longer about just brand building. We have to figure out, okay, how does communications serve as a supporting tool to sales? So now we have to now integrate content marketing. So luckily for me, I've done this in the past. This is where past experience comes into play. But it also requires me to be able to step out of my shoes as a comms person, right? I have to be able to step out of my shoes as a comms person and now think like a salesperson. So now you now use content marketing to support sales. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to be able to, you have to be fluid. You have to be able to change with the times, even within the role that you're occupying. And the last point I'll make is figure out the economic dynamics of the industry and all the factors that impact it. This is something that I know that a lot of media people are not really, they don't really want to bother themselves with. They don't want
Very
to think
true.
about, do you understand? They don't want to think about how other industries are impacting their own industry.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example now. The recent stuff I wrote about Paystack, one of the comments I've been getting a lot, one of the comments I've gotten a lot is, I didn't really think
Yeah, it's going to be back. I think just have to chill. Just have to chill for him.
That you're not spending on Twitter. Do you understand? So in the attention economy,
David, we lost you where you said I didn't really think.
what?
We lost you. We lost you where you said I didn't really think when you were talking about Paystack.
Okay, so what I was saying about Paystack is a lot of people a lot of people were saying they didn't realize that a company could pose a threat to the media ecosystem that used to or that serves it, or that it has a relationship with, whatever. And that's because people don't really understand how people are not really thinking about the full implications of the internet, of the attention economy, because we are in an attention economy, right? And like, and I'm saying that I used an example. I said Netflix's competition is not just Hulu or Disney. Do you understand? Netflix's competition is Facebook, because for every minute you're not spending on Netflix, is a minute that you're spending on Netflix is a minute you're not spending on Facebook. A minute you're spending on Facebook is a minute you're not spending on Twitter. So when it comes to the attention economy, there are all these dynamics at play, and attention is zero sum. So the point is, I'll use the Paystack article again as an example. For every piece of content, or for every talent that Paystack attracts to build out its content marketing arm, is talent and attention that is taken away
Well,
so I
okay.
hope. So that is that's
We
it.
lost you again where you said the talent is taken away.
Yeah, my internet is unstable. So maybe you guys can ask when it's Q&A time. I'm seeing that we have just some minutes left. Is that
we have
an
minutes.
issue?
We have some minutes left. So yeah, I would say thank you. Definitely, people will ask questions, just a couple of persons, and I'm sure I even had a lot that I even learned from this. And
Okay.
I'm so happy you shared a lot of insights directly with some of the things I've been thinking around media. I remember I spoke to you about how I also spoke about Paystack last year. I was just trying to reach out to a lot of people that the media is changing. Even edtech industries, I still say this on my WhatsApp a lot. I said edtech industries are not supposed to be focusing on just training people. They will not go very far that way. EdTech should incorporate media into it, and not just EdTech, lots of industries. So I thank you for sharing up with like a lot of us like that attended this and people that will get to watch it on how we should think around media, because media is not just about we want to inform people. It's around we want people to be part of us. We want to keep people hooked, and we want to ensure that whatever information is being passed converts to sales, converts to structures, and every other thing like that. So I really learned a lot from this. And anybody that has questions should they type it out, or should I give them room to talk about?
Yeah, they can just ask quickly. We have.
You can type it.
Is this thing going to end automatically when this time runs out?
It will end when it runs out. But anyone can ask questions. If you want to ask, just type it in the comment section.
I mean,
and it's going to answer
two
it.
people. I can take two questions, and then if you have other questions, I've left
You can reach out
you
to
can
him
just shoot me an email or reach out to me on Twitter.
Yeah, Eunice, you can go ahead with your question.
Eunice, yes.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for this session. I think I gained a lot. So I recently joined and started working in communications at a startup, right? Okay. And I feel that because I think I'm at the point where you were at Tech About, where you had to like do so much for so little, but I think it's also a learning experience. My question is, at what point do you tell your maybe manager that you like to, kind of bring in some sort of, I won't say saltiness, but some sort of, wow, I'm actually losing words for that, but something that will actually catch people's attention and not just be robotic about my writing. Because writing personally, before coming into communications, I write fiction a lot. So it's kind of stifling, especially when you talked about pigeonhole and all of that. So I'm saying, is corporate writing stifling? Is this supposed to stifle somebody's, imaginative expression? Because that's really what I do. And I'm like, it is so bad that I don't even want to tell my friends where I work or where I, show them my articles, because they'll be like, yo, are you under duress? Is someone pointing a gun to your head? Because it's really so robotic. And I feel that people can actually get more from what I do, if they can, see that story part of me. So I just want to know how to kind of ease off my writing and not make it so, rigid. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to, because we have very little time left. We can talk more about this on IG, but the very simple answer is, to make corporate writing more interesting, use a lot of analogies. This is what I tell when my PR agency sends articles to me for review. I just mark out parts that I say, okay, this is information dump. This is information dump. It's almost like you're reporting news to me. Use an analogy instead. And it's fantastic that you're a fiction writer, because you won't have a problem creating scenarios, right? So there's an article that I wrote for a real estate firm recently, and I started the article with painting a picture. I said, imagine you wake up in this, imagine you wake up in this. It's corporate writing, but I'm starting by painting a picture. So if you use a lot of analogies, you're going to, you'll find that things will be a lot better for you. But let's talk more on IG. Adeni, you have a question. Please ask in 30. You're welcome. 30 seconds. And then if anyone else who has questions can just send me an email. Adeni.
You can email. You can email him. Yeah. But
can I make it?
Yeah, 30 seconds, please.
I don't think I can squeeze the whole question into 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm wasting time
already. Send me an email. Or IG.
Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually sorry for the fact that the time is shrinked. Maybe against next Zoom calls, I would try to pay for the software and ensure that there is no time limit to this. I'm definitely going to do that. But I would say that I appreciate your time. Maybe we can, if you have another time, we can actually make it an IG thing where there will be no time.
Yeah, we can do IG live.
Yeah,
we can do an IG live.
Yeah, I will get to I'll chat you up so that I would know when next would work for you. Then we mail the same people and continue the conversations from where we stopped, and really maybe talk about some different industrial insights and make it like a conversation sort of. And I feel a lot of people will definitely learn, and it will be a kickstart for many people into beyond Africa. I believe media should be beyond Africa. The way I see media, I feel like we need people not just only focusing on Africa, but ensuring that whatever we are working in Africa becomes global products. And at the same time, the talents themselves also become global products themselves. That the hustle, morning brew, the likes of different countries, companies, when they're talking about getting people that are into media, should be able to incorporate them into their systems. And they don't say, hey, the talents in Nigeria, they are not professional and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll do an IG live, definitely.
All right.